Hello and welcome. I'm your host and speaker Priyam Singh, and I'm working as a BI analyst at Infometry. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. In today's webinar, I'll be talking about data storytelling and visualizations best practices, and we'll be leveraging the Power BI tool to cover some of the key concepts around visualization. You leave with an understanding of what types of visual fit for different data types and enhancing our dashboard and user experience using some of the Power BI features. Feel free to drop questions on the topic or share your struggles and experience during this live session. We will answer your queries through chat. So let's start this session. This session is organized by Infometry. We are a pure data analytics company based out of Fremont, California, with our offshore development center in Bangalore. We came into inception back in 2010, and since then, we have been offering domain specific analytics solutions for high tech, energy, life sciences, retail, manufacturing, and finance customers. Being a data analytics software services and solution provider, we focus on delivering predictive and prescriptive AI ML solutions, cloud data warehouse implementation, data governance, enterprise services bus, microservices-based integration solution, big data, cloud DevOps, Salesforce CRM, product engineering, etc. Infometry has been an engineering and consulting service partner for companies like Snowflake, Google Cloud, Informatica, MuleSoft, Databricks, Fivetran, AWS, Tableau, Adaptive Insights, Microsoft Azure, Medallion, etc. We have developed state-of-the-art analytics solution, InfoFiscus, which can be looked to any on-prem or cloud CRM or ERP or planning apps. InfoFiscus is 100% cloud-based, pre-built analytics software developed using open architecture. InfoFiscus comes in three different flavors: finance, supply chain, and sales and marketing analytics. We are delighted to announce the launch of the next generation InfoFiscus Snowflake native applications featuring pre-built connectivity to NetSuite, Salesforce, Marketo, and more. These applications enable seamless integration and real-time analytics. So let's go through our very first topic for the webinar. I'll walk you through some demos as well. To begin with, there are multiple visuals one can opt for displaying data. One thumb rule would be not to overcomplicate the information that we want to convey. So going back to our topic here for numerical data types, if we want to display a trend over a certain duration, we can opt for something called as line chart. If we want to check the correlation between two attributes, we can opt for scatter plot. Now let's switch to the Power BI tool for a quick demo. So before moving forward, let's go through the data set real quick. So this is an adventure workspace data set, which is available in platforms like Kaggle. As you can see over here, we have the calendar lookup table, which is basically a date dimension field. Likewise, we have customer related data in the customer lookup table, product related informations like categories and subcategories in these tables. And also we have the quantitative data in the form of returns and sales table as well. So let's try to see the trend of the revenue. So whenever we talk about looking into any sort of trend for any given KPI, then line chart is the most preferred chart one should be looking for. So let's say I want to look into the revenue trend. For this, I'll drag the revenue field into the y-axis and the date field into x-axis. And this is what simple line chart looks, displaying the trend of revenue across the days. With line chart, we can also have a look at the trend over here. So once I turn this option on, you can see the trend being represented in the form of dotted lines over here, suggesting a linear upward trend for the revenue that is being generated across this duration or time frame. Now let's jump into the forecasting option as well. Over here we have an option of forecast as well. So you can customize the units here, either based on individual data parts or using points. And points is basically a flexible option to tell the Power BI no matter what level of granularity we are viewing, just forecast out X units. So if we are looking at a daily, in this case, we are looking over here, we are looking at a daily level. So in this case, we have a forecast length of 10 days that would create a forecast out for the next 10 days. Similarly, if we change it to 20, then the forecast would get generated for the next 20 days over here. And apart from that, we also have this option of confidence level, and which basically says how confident can we be that the actual values over the next 20 days uh, will fall somewhere inside of this confidence band. And so a high level of confidence like 95% will provide a pretty wide range. If we drop it down to something like 85%, note that the band is gonna narrow down. Now we are less confident because we are trying to predict a more narrow range of future values. So selecting the appropriate confidence level depends on SMEs or the business requirement in most of the cases. Similarly, we have something called as anomaly detection section as well, which could only be used once we turn off the forecast option. Over here, once this being turned on, Power BI helps us look into certain outliers on data based on the sensitivity value. So higher the sensitivity, more number of outliers would be shown. That means that we are more sensitive to an outlier detection. And we also have this feature of explain by data, which if we add certain fields into this add data section, Power BI will try to find out the root cause of these outliers based on the fields which have been provided. So you can add multiple fields, and Power BI does on its own basically of coming up with a clarification on what exactly the reason could have been for these outliers. So yeah, that's all from my end related to the line charts. So for categorical and hierarchical data, bar charts and pie charts display category proportions effectively. And hierarchical data benefits from tree map, which when nested structures like corporate team hierarchies. So, for example, if I want to look into the profit share across a region, we can use something called as a tree map here. Tree map will bring in this territory hierarchical field into a category section and the profit into a value section. Okay. And we have the visual representation of the profit share across the continents. Drilling down will give us information for the countries and the regions as well. Now, the same information can be represented in the form of a pie chart as well. So without creating a new visual, I can just click on top of, I can just click on that specific chart and change it to a pie chart from a tree map. So right now, what we are looking into is a distribution of the profit across different regions or countries here. Again, we can leverage the drill up and down feature to look into the profit share over here. As we can see, the North America contributes or has the highest profit share across all the continents. One tip would be like when not to use a pie chart. Okay, so make sure we are not using pie chart in by on top of fields which has a lot of non-unique labels. So for example, over here we just have few fields, like three fields, like North America, Europe, Pacific. But let's say if we drag product name instead of this, and obviously we'll be having a list of a lot of products. Now, even though we are getting the information, but it looks very cluttered and noisy. So this is one thing that I wanted to convey, like in such kind of scenarios, we shouldn't be using pie chart where the non-uniqueness of labels are a lot within a given field. In such scenarios, if we want to display the same information, then clustered bar chart is very helpful over here. Now this looks much more readable. We can also add the data labels if we want to. And now this looks more readable. But one thing is with clustered bar chart, we won't be able to see the profit share, which we were able to view with the help of a pie chart. So what we can do is we can create a new measure or calculation for the profit share and use that in the tooltip section. So for beginners, tooltip is a feature which adds more details to a visual without making it more cluttered or messy. So more on tooltip on the coming slides. And for geospatial data, there are certain mapping visuals which are already integrated into Power BI app that provides intuitive geographical insights, enabling analysis of region-based performance or KPIs. In Power BI, we have this with bubble map, field map, and Azure maps. And this works only with the fields which are being tagged as a geospatial field. If you see over here, this globe icon before the attributes over here, indicating that these are geospatial fields and could be used in our mapping visuals. So yeah, I hope it was helpful. All in all, always make sure to use the correct visual for each data type so to prevent misinterpretation and strengthen storytelling impact. Now let's move on to the next slide. In this session, we are going to understand how customizing visuals play an important role in data storytelling. It enhances the clarity. So when designing visuals, clarity is the key. Strategic use of colors, labels, and layout ensures that the audience immediately grasps the core message without unnecessary distractions. Using contrasting colors, clear labels to avoid ambiguity, and a well-organized layout helps prevent cognitive overload. Think of it like a well-lit signboard. If it's easy to read, it's easy to understand, aligning with the audience need. So, well structured visual speaks directly to the audience's expertise and expectations. A technical stakeholder may prefer detailed analytical graphs, while executives benefit from high level summaries with straightforward key takeaways. By tailoring visuals to suit decision makers, we can boost engagement and drive faster, more informed decisions. It's about presenting information in a way that resonates with who is watching. Then finally, highlighting trends and anomalies. As we have seen in our previous slide, visuals become truly insightful when they highlight patterns, trend, and anomalies. Color, emphasize annotations, or even dynamic interactive elements can draw attention to key outliers, whether it's an unexpected spike or a sudden drop in performance. This design choices help analysts focus on what matters the most. So that's all from this section. Let's move on to our next slide. Thank you. So welcome to our new topic related to bookmark. So we are going to shift away from building new visuals and components and start thinking about how to enhance our dashboard user experience using some of the Power BI features. And the first thing we're going to explore is bookmark. So bookmark allows us to save specific dashboard states, enabling quick switching between views. So let's say our business, our client wants us to create some visual to get insights into their sales and product related to those purchases. Now, what we want is not to create everything on one page. Rather, we want the sales overview to be displayed on one page and the product related information to be displayed on a different page. But at the same time, our end user shouldn't be looking out searching for those informations across different pages of the dashboard. So if we jump into this Power BI, so over here we don't have multiple pages, but in real world scenarios, when we build dashboards, so there are chances that we might end up having a lot of pages in one specific dashboard. And hence, the bookmark feature is pretty helpful in such kind of scenarios. So over here, I'm just gonna create a simple bar chart. I'll create this country field and it's a high ticket order measure. So high ticket orders over here means the total number of orders where the price of the product is more than the overall price of all the products. Okay. And so this is a simple bar chart displaying the high ticket orders across different countries. And I'll just go ahead and bookmark this specific view. I'll just keep it as bookmark what we'll be renaming it. Okay. And then let's move on to another page where we want our users to see the product info of all the high value orders. So let's just create a simple table visual here and bring in the fields and category name, category name, product name, price, and the number of high ticket orders placed or the number of orders placed for this high end products in terms of its pricing. Okay. So similarly, the way we did in this page, which we can consider it to be a sales overview page, over here we'll create this say bookmark. So again, I'm not going to rename it. I'm just going to keep it as it is. Now to use this specific feature, we can leverage this specific section of Power BI, that is the button. So let's say like this, and I want this specific icon to be displaying or navigate me to the second bookmark, that is the product detail page. Remember, just now I created the bookmark and kept it as bookmark 2 for the product detail page. And just navigate to product. So now you can see this option getting populated over here once we hover over this specific icon. Similarly, I'll create or I'll add one more set of this. I wanted to direct this to the first bookmark that we created for the page two. Navigate to sales overview page. Now, rather than me going manually and changing the pages from page three to page two, I can actually leverage this specific button. And if I just click on this, it directs me to the sales overview page. And if I click on this specific icon, it will direct me to this specific page. So as I said, we don't have a lot of pages over here, but this specific example related to bookmark is pretty helpful when we have a lot of pages within a single dashboard. So I hope it was helpful. So that's it. We can do many interesting stuff with the bookmark feature, and this was just one of an example. And the purpose of it is just to improve the interactivity and storytelling flow by guiding users through curated data perspective with ease. So that's all for this. Let's move on to our next topic. Thank you. So let's talk about a powerful Power BI feature that dramatically enhances our ability to analyze data, and that is the drill through functionality. So it allows users to seamlessly transition from a summary view to a detailed, filtered view with just a single right click, keeping focus squarely on the data. So let's get into our demo. So let's say we have a scenario where we want to see what is the buying pattern of customers for any given product based on their income level. So to target certain segment of customers with certain products. Over here in this data set, we have a field which is the income level. So I'll quickly bring in this chart. I'll drop in this field the total order session as well as the commission. So now we are looking into the buying pattern of customers based on their income level. I'll also create a simple map visual, which would give us the information of the total orders being placed for by different countries. Now, now, since we want to get an insight on which segment of customer buys a product, more or less, we'll bring in the product name field and drag it to this section over here. So now we have enabled the drill through feature, which basically means is now users can right click on any instance of the product name on any report tab or any kind of a chart or visual, and they can navigate to this specific section, which would be filtered for that specific product. I'm also going to create a small summary detail for product. Let's say product. This you can think of as a variable, which changes based on the parameters from past and the return rate. So currently is displaying the detail of this specific product because this product is the first product name in the product lookup table over here. Hence, this specific detail of this product is being displayed over here. Okay. Now over here, we have this product name. Now, if we right click on any of the product, so then let's say road 150, red 48, we see this option of drill through, which will take us to this specific page. And now you can see it shows the details of that same product that we clicked on. Road 150, red 48, which has a return rate of 4.47. And the customers fall within the average income level tend to buy this product the most. As well as we see the number of orders which are being placed from different countries for this specific product. You can also look one more example, let's say during 2000 to 46. So yeah, that's helpful. And before ending this session, this Q&A summary actually, which I just created, is also an interesting tool which can be leveraged for some quick narrative summary kind of a thing, which allows the user to get a quick insight of how exactly the data is without really much looking into multiple visuals to get an insight or hang on the data. So that's all for this demo. Let's jump on to our next slide. So in this section, we will specifically look into the tooltip feature. As we can see, tooltip provide on over additional data, details, or information without cluttering the main visual. So over here in our report section, in this current map visual, if I just need to add some additional informations apart from the total orders that we are displaying in the form of bubbles. So I can just add this information into the tooltip section. And now if we hover on any of these countries on the map, we can see the total profit getting displayed. But there is something more also we can do with the tooltip feature by designing a completely new report page that can be displayed in the tooltip format anywhere else in our report. So for this, I'll just create a new page over here. And in this section on the page information, I'll check this box. Now I'll resize it. So over here, I can add as many information and whatever we want display. So let's say I'll just add a multi-row card, which would display few important KPIs like let's say total orders, profit, returns, revenue, and year-to-date revenue. Similarly, I'll add a gate chart here. Display for the profit target has been met, if it has been met or not. The value section, I'll drag this total profit field, and over here, the target value, I'll bring this profit target. We'll add API card here, displaying the name of the country. Now let's integrate this feature into our visual over here. Since we are looking at a country level data in this map visual, So I will enable this feature here. We have this option of tooltip, and this would basically point to the fifth page that we created this month. Now, once we hover on any of these countries on the map visual, we can see the information that we just created. For US now, under this continent, we can see the details for United Kingdom, and it says that it has exceeded the profit amount. Similarly, we are looking into the details of France, Australia, and so on. So that's what we can do with the custom tooltip feature that we just created. And typically, we don't want users viewing or editing the tooltip page itself. So we can just go ahead and hide this from the viewers. Yeah, that's all for this section. So there are a few key takeaways, and those are like choosing the right visuals, customizing the visuals or the data charts based on the need of the audience, and also leveraging interactivity by incorporating bookmarks, drill-through features, tool tips, slicers, and filters. So that's all for this webinar from my end. Do let me know if there are any questions so we can have a discussion on it. Thank you.
Yeah, hi Priyam.
Hey, Dheeraj.
Yeah, first of all, amazing webinar.
Thank you.
My question is that what is the difference between a stacked and a clustered column chart and when to use each?
So stack column chart would be so when we are trying to represent a proportion of say a subcategory within a category. Okay, so let me give an example. So let's say we want to view the total sales for at a quarter level. Okay, and uh, it should be segmented based on different product category that we have. Let's say we have product A, B, and C. Okay, so what stack column chart would do is it'll create four columns. Okay, and within each of the column, it would represent the total sales for the quarter, and within that same column, within each column actually, the segregation or the proportion would be displayed for each of the product categories. Whereas in the, I would say, clustered column chart, uh, you won't be able to see the total sales uh, across all the categories, but you can compare the categories for each quarters, like sales for each of the categories for each of the quarters, actually. So if you just want to view the proportions of each subcategories, in our case, it's like the product category that we are talking about. We can use a stack column chart, or if you just want to compare, for example, the product category quarter one performance of product A against quarter two performance or sales of product A, then you can use that column, clustered column chart actually.
Oh,
Uh, was that clear?
yeah, thank you.
Hello, Priyam. This is Poonam, and yeah, amazing webinar. So I want to ask one question that what are the different map visuals in Power BI, and when should one be preferred over other than in Power BI?
So, for example, we have something called as bubble and filled maps. Okay. So functionally, they are the same.
Mhm.
The only difference would be like, I'll give you an example of it actually, rather than going theoretically on that. So let's say like you want to uh, get a visual of the total sales, okay, across different stores, okay, within a country or a region. Which so in those cases, bubble chart or I would say the bubble maps would be pretty helpful actually. But let's say that uh, in a scenario where we have multiple stores within same or a similar district, same district, and it's being spread across the entire state or the country. Okay, uh, as in like we have a lot of stores across the entire country spread out. In that case, if we use a bubble chart, we can use that, but it will be very cluttered and very noisy once we tend to visualize it. So what field map does with in such kind of scenario, it'll just create a heat map kind of a map. What I mean to say is like the shading will be done based on what KPIs you're looking into. For example, if you want to look at the total revenue or the sales being generated from each of the stores for each district across all the states and the country, okay, at a wider view, then if we look at in a map in a very shaded version, like darker the shades, more the shades, lesser the shade, less the shades. So that gives a better representation of that instead of a bubble map, which could basically clutter the entire information. And then we have something called as Azure map, which is helpful when we want to do something related to the live tracking, I would say. I think it has a, so it's being powered by actually Azure Maps itself. Okay, so
Mhm.
scenarios where we want to track maybe, let's say, logistics, okay, or climate related informations. So at that
Mhm.
time, we need some real-time informations, and in those kind of scenarios, uh, Azure Map helps over there. But in the
Oh.
most scenarios, we are good with the bubble and fill maps.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi. I also have one question about data anomaly. Is there any best possible threshold to detect anomaly within a data?
There is no threshold, I can say, like it depends on a lot of thing actually. So the first is about the data understanding the domain we are in. Yeah.
Mhm.
So currently, the example that I just showed in the webinar, it just applied a statistical model and it identified a few anomalies based on certain patterns of the data. Okay, but it
Mhm.
can have, we can have, so let's take an example of an e-commerce website. So across throughout the year, we would generally have a certain amount of orders being placed. Okay, an average number of orders being placed across the entire year. But in certain days of the year, it could spike up completely. Okay, and the reason could be the big billion day and whatever events that comes up in between. So terming that as an outlier wouldn't be correct. Okay,
Okay.
and similarly goes with data related to the healthcare. Okay, on what basis can we term something as an outlier? It depends again on the business and also like the statistical tools that we need to apply. So there are multiple statistical tools over here. What we saw in Power BI is just doing a confidence score on that. But again, like there are few things like first thing I would say it goes by the data understanding, the domain knowledge on what needs to be termed and how it needs to be termed as an outlier, if there is any. And then we can bring on those statistical tools or any machine learning models to implement that actually.
Okay. Thank you.
But it's not a one-way thing. Just what I just showed in the demo, it's not just like you click on that, you'll get the analysis. So there are a few other tools as well.
Okay.
Hey Priyam,
Okay, thank you.
this is Hari. Thanks for the detailed webinar. I have one question. It's regarding the performance. So, what is the optimal way to design a dashboard? And can too many visuals in a dashboard will impact the performance?
It can actually, depending on like how many visuals you're putting into a certain page at. So internally, what would happen is like every visual will send a query to the data model, be it a direct query or an import mode. Okay. So when I say direct query import, it's like the storage mode that we have for the data in Power BI. So uh, whatever like many visuals within a certain dashboard will send up that many queries to the data model. And in those cases, sometimes if it's required, then we need to optimize it. And if it's not required, then we can always look for options like bookmarking or tooltips, okay, which we have gone through in the demo. Okay, so we can limit that many visuals within a single dashboard. Or if it's completely required, then we have to look into some optimizations like getting not getting actually columns or fields which has high cardinality or non-unique values actually in the filters or within the labels. That's one thing we can do. Or also optimizing the tax query, the calculations that we tend to create within the Power BI model. So yeah, those are the things. But again, it's always good not try to get as many informations within as less visuals we can get, and we can always leverage uh, tools like bookmarking, Q&A, summaries, which can give you the same information, but without that much load to the data source.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Priya, this is Harish. I have one doubt related to this bookmarks. So, is there a way we can update an existing bookmark automatically when filters or anything related to visuals if we change, or do we always
Yeah,
need to manually resave it?
no, we can update actually. We can update the bookmarks. We can do that.
So, an existing bookmark it will update automatically when these filters or visuals changes.
You need to, so there is an option actually, those from Power BI itself, where you can update it. So for example, a certain bookmark for, has been set, okay, but going forward, you want to change the scenario of it and bookmark that complete scenario. Okay, so whatever the previous bookmark was, you can just go. We have that feature in Power BI where you can just go and update that specific bookmark with your current state that you want to bring it to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how we can use bookmarks effectively when creating a storytelling dashboards?
So, first of all, we need to always think of the end users actually. Okay. So we are just building the reports, but at the end of the day, we need to cater to the ones who are consuming it. So it has to be something pretty easy to understand. So it has to be well descriptive. Okay. Uh, so whatever bookmarks you're creating, just rather than just creating the bookmark, put some options on the report page. So for example, in my webinar, I just created a bookmark and kept it as bookmark one. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, honestly. So
Yep.
you have to keep a relevant name to that so that end users can navigate accordingly. And also one thing would be how do you want to bookmark it? Like, should it be at a data stage level or at a visual level? So at a data stage level, what I mean is with all the filters being applied and then you bookmark it, or it just you want to bookmark a certain visual without any filters on top of it. Okay. Without any filters, you're bookmarking it, it's fine. But with filters, if you're bookmarking it, then you have to look into certain scenarios actually. So for example, if I'm building a report in the month of July, okay, and I just bookmark a certain uh, thing for the end users to go back and check these sales for the previous month. Okay, so when I bookmarked it, I kept the filter for June. Okay, now going forward, tomorrow, when the same users would come and click on the same bookmark, they won't be routed to July. They would be routed to June. Okay, which is not the thing that we want to. So in those kind of scenarios, we have to uh, look for options of dynamic filtering rather than a static filter. Okay, so that is what the data stage filter I was talking about. So yeah, so basically descriptive, it has to be descriptive so that the end users get a good understanding of what it is, what they have to do. Again, the data stage and the visual level, that is more onto the developers part. And the third thing I would say, like once we have created the bookmarks, like it's important that we don't end up creating a lot. Okay, so it makes more complex and confusing because a lot of bookmarks can create a lot of confusion within a certain data dashboard. Okay, and once everything has been created, we need to convey to the end users how to interact with it and so on, and what all the expectations could be with certain bookmarks. So yeah, these are
Okay.
the rules.
Yeah. Thank you for the clarification. And I have one more doubt about this drill through. So can drill through filters be passed dynamically from multiple visuals on the main page, or is it limited to only one selection of context?
So it depends on what you're, so when you're building a drill through. Okay. So if you just saw in the webinar, I got the product name in it. So any visual in any page has a product name. Once you click on that, irrespective of whatever that visual is trying to convey. Okay. But if you have that product name in that specific visual of any other page, if you right click on that, you will be routed to that specific drill through page actually.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Priyam. I hope everyone's questions are answered, and I thank everyone for joining the webinar. I hope everyone found the session really informative and useful. And yep, thank you for joining. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.